gut and your intuition takes me on to the next speaker, because she is a master manifester. Not only is she a soul sister to mine, and we can talk about the work that she does in accountancy, and very masculine environment that she works in, and she's very, very, very good at that. I see her soul. I see her as a warrior of truth. She's writing a book about justice system. She is going through so much inner transformation by sharing her story of truth. And she is going to make waves throughout the world when this book comes out. But anyway, she's going to make waves in this world with a beautiful presence and light worker that she is. And she knows I love her so much. And Cara, thank you so much for being here. And I am now going to give you your 8 minutes, my love.
Thank you so very much. I'm really excited to be here. I met Vikki on Hit Talks. That's how I first experienced her. So it's very exciting to have the opportunity to share my story. And my story is about having all my beliefs and value systems really challenged. I grew up in California, and I grew up with a lot of New Age philosophies, astrology. Louise Hayes was on my bookshelf, and Linda Goodman. And I was brought up with the idea that our thoughts create reality, and if you expect things to go well, they generally do. And that's how my life had really been through most of my life. And I have really great marriage, and we have 4 children, and I have a thriving tax practice. We have kind of an unusual arrangement, a modern arrangement where I work and my husband's the stay-at-home parent, and we were having a great, beautiful life with 4 happy and healthy children and doing all the things that we dreamed of. And about 5.5 years ago, I had my mantra of expecting things to go well, and they do, really challenged. I came home in the middle of tax season on Friday the 13th to find that my house was being raided by 15 federal officers with automatic weapons. I was told that my family and my home had been investigated for almost an entire year, and that after that investigation, that they had concluded that my husband and my children were selling narcotics at the high school. I knew that this was not the truth at all, but it was happening, so I had to deal with it. And so I surrendered, I became still, I waited, and I listened, and I took in the information. The investigators were looking for MDMA, cocaine, heroin, weapons, bullets. We learned the following week that they had been told by 2 individuals that drugs were being sold from our house. I don't know who the people are. I probably never will know who they are. But the one thing that they did find in my house was they did find marijuana. My husband is a medical patient, had a medical recommendation for using marijuana. He uses it to manage the symptoms of his borderline personality disorder, and had been using it very successfully and without any injury to anyone. But as soon as the investigation began, and as soon as the officers arrived at our house, we were caught up in the system. And I was waist deep in the criminal justice system, and we were 3.5 years of dealing with the consequences of that. As part of the investigation, a lot of people at the high school and students were pulled out of class. People were interviewed. Part of the investigation brought out that one of my children, who was 18, had sexual intercourse with another student who was not 18. So this was part of the other charges that were brought against us, in addition to the 3 felony charges. So we surrendered and we cooperated and we hired attorneys, and we continued to expect that the best was going to happen even in the most horrible circumstances. And through the whole process, so many gifts came out of it. And I never would have imagined that I would be speaking about my experiences, because it brought a lot of shame for me. And it's been a long process of healing and going through the many layers of the trauma that I compartmentalized, because press conference was held the day that they came to raid our house, before they'd even come to see whether or not there were any of the drugs that they were looking for, or the guns, or the money, or the evidence. And once something has been put on to the television, fake news was not a term in 2015, but I definitely, I don't believe what I see in the media anymore. But we had so many gifts, as I said, that came from this. We really were tested, but I was able to go back to what I had been taught as a child, and I went back to meditation, and I didn't watch anything that was said on the television, and I didn't read any of the newspaper articles, and I practiced yoga, and I started remembering what I had been taught by my family about law of attraction, and I started manifesting, and we brought so many opportunities into our lives, from jobs for the children, getting accepted into the very best schools, manifesting my dream house and all the furniture along with it. So what I would like to say by sharing my story and being vulnerable is I'd like to open a window to the criminal justice system and how flawed it is and how much of a business it is. That's where I started with wanting to share publicly. But what I've found in going through the process of writing and healing from this event is that I really want people to know that they need to, as Isabella had said earlier, trust the process. There's always a reason for everything that you're experiencing. I really believe that we bring everything into our life for a reason. And so when I was overwhelmed by everything that was happening, I went back to those beliefs and those values that I had as a young woman. And I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more fulfilled. And I really look forward to completing my book so that I can share my story with other people and reduce the shame around others who find themselves in the criminal justice system and being shamed and having charges brought against them that are not true and are not correct. And so that's where my passion is right now. And I'm really grateful to have such a safe and secure place to share this, because I've never shared it with anybody at all. So thank you so very much, Vikki, for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you, my love. And you know, this is the thing about being able to have the voice to share, because it's the judgment and shame, and it's so easy for others outside to judge others around them. I always go back to a story that I was on YouTube. It was a message I had somewhere, and it was about a man sitting on a train with children running around and going wild. And this grumpy lady said to him, "Can you just not control your children? You're just a really bad dad." And he said, "I'm sorry, madam, but we've just lost her mother this morning." And she was like, oh my gosh. And it just makes us think sometimes about judgment and not judging ourselves from the circumstances around, because it's what happens from within here.